Welcome to this episode of YouTube where we're celebrating Wolf Awareness Week, October 12th to the 18th. And this is an annual event across the country where wolf organizations, educational centers, nature centers, schools take this week to help provide educational information about the wolves and hopefully try to address areas of management concerns, certainly address areas where wolves may be misunderstood, and try to provide scientific, factual information to the forefront. And again, this week is dedicated to wolf awareness, but here at the Wolf Center, and more importantly here in the captive wolf management area that I work in, every day is Wolf Awareness Day, and we are again featuring a pack that is approaching the fall, a pack that has 2-year-old wolves maturing to 3-year-old wolves, and we will be kind of discussing a little bit about the dynamics. And certainly we are seeing the fall colors are changing and leaves are dissipating or falling off the trees, and we are getting some good vantage points up on the hills, some activity, some options to see the wolves active up in the wooded area, which are typically hidden out of view during most of the leaf on season. So we are gaining a little bit more insight of things that go on, and we always rely on our security cameras to be able to give us some insight as well. So that's what we hope to present here today. Sorry about the little bit of the camera jiggle there. I believe Bolts was trying to interact while I was filming Aiden. So as you can imagine, we do a lot of wolf education, and these wolves are our ambassadors to the wild. And so as we talk about dynamics, we talk about social interactions, we talk about body postures, we talk about predatory drive, and you're going to see Luna here in one of those predatory drive moments, stalking and chasing Bolts. So it's not uncommon that you find these 2-year-olds reverting back to those social days of wrestling and carefree pup life. Even if you watch wolves from the air, sometimes you can tell the young ones, because they don't take life as seriously. They got a hitch in their step, and they tend to wrestle and scruff bite and roll over each other, and sometimes act as juveniles well into their adulthood life. So Luna and Bolts are going to be reaching 3 years of age next spring. We hope that they settle down into a little bit more maturity, like we see from Aiden and Denali, the 6-year-olds. The 6-year-olds tend to be, while they are still social, they tend to be a little bit more reserved and tend not to do this kind of energy wasting behaviors. Well, energy wasting is probably not the appropriate term. Certainly they're probably good at developing some skills. Here Luna is going to stalk, and probably it's going to be Bolts. Most of the time it's Bolts, so she's going to go into a stalk behavior. If that were a pup in the wild or a 2-year-old in the wild, that may be the good opportunity to learn and to be able to develop those skills that make them successful hunters in the wild. So there's no real wasted behaviors. Here's a good image of our future, hopefully pair-bonded pack leaders, future, I'd say current pack leaders, except the pair bonding's not happening as quickly as we have seen in other exhibits we've had here, other exhibit packs. Aiden's doing his part. Luna's just not quite that serious yet to settle down and be a little bit more of an adult-like behavior. She's definitely rather romp, would rather stalk, would rather wrestle with Bolts, and that's kind of like I say, one of those juvenile behaviors. But we want to comment that Luna is agile, and certainly we are watching her continually to make sure that she is physically able to maintain herself within this pack of much larger males. Typically females in the wild are much smaller, and certainly in captivity we see that, Luna being about 90 pounds, Bolts being over 110 pounds, and Aiden and Denali being well into the 130 pound range. But she is able to maintain. She's able to maintain because size isn't everything in a wolf pack. It's a lot more about social rules. It's about posturing. It's about attitude. It's about direct eye contact. It's about ear postures, tail postures. It's about energy, and who displays the most probably intent energy is who's going to be the one who gets to the carcass first, who spends the opportunity observing, who might catch that one snowshoe hare or that one beaver that means the difference between another 500 calories that they didn't have going into the winter. So it's one of those things where every time we see them in captivity, and every once in a while people in captivity say they're just playing. All of these behaviors, you watch these lunges, you watch these jump upon rock that Luna's doing. These are all things to help really confirm or to expand that ability to be a predator. And these are instinctual behaviors, but they have to be exercised, and that's kind of what we see. So investigation is another thing that wolves do, and they are curious animals. We obviously have a lot of leaves, a lot of needles that are in the pond right now. Eventually there's going to be, as the water clears out from the summer, once we get past the summer algae, we start seeing clearer and clearer water, and there's fish in that pond. So eventually they'll be starting to come to the surface. So that is something that, as I said, is a stimulus for the wolves. And here's Luna again doing a little bit of a stalk around the tree and trying to dominate Bolt. She is somewhat of an indiscriminate stalker in that here's Aiden coming down the hill. Luna's kind of in a crouch by the white pine tree. Aiden comes down the hill and he knows she's there. He paws the ground. He's tails up at a T1 posture over the back, wagging the tail in a little bit of arousal. And Luna's going to try to stalk. And believe it or not, that's a social engagement. That little ambush there. And certainly she is indiscriminate about who she ambushes. So again, Aiden is a pretty good-natured wolf, so he's going to take it all in stride. And Luna gets a sideways glance from Aiden and kind of a little bit of a threat display and decides against it. So we are seeing, again, Aiden being very, very, very dominant and also very socially engaging with everybody. He and Bolt get along quite well. Luna and he get along for the most part, with just a few little oddities that Luna throws in that make him a little bit challenging. So over in retirement, Grizzer is spending some time in the den, and he is, again, very keyed into what goes on around his enclosure, whether that be ravens, whether that be the exhibit pack, whether that be humans in the freezer, humans in the lab, my dog Tina coming into the yard. He has a great vantage point, and he waits, and he watches, and he listens. He is a very, very alert 10-year-old. We are seeing him getting a little bit more rest inside the pack holding area than he is inside the east side den where the webcam is, wanting to be a little bit closer to the wolf yard. Again, I think that's just Grizzer's nature. He is getting a lot more opportunities to interact with people. Again, we talk about Grizzer being alone. That's not your typical wolf pack. Typically, wolves that are alone, they're dispersers. They try to find a mate. They try to stay at their own territory. But here in captivity, sometimes we have to manage the dispersers a little bit differently. And that means that sometimes they're alone. It happened for Malik. It's happened for Grizzer now for several years here. But the advantage Grizzer has is that Grizzer has the opportunity, because he is alone, it's a little bit easier to manage him with more people. And so here's Corey, the fall educator, doing a greeting through the fence, and Grizzer's getting an opportunity to sniff, to interact, to kind of get his smell, and to eventually, hopefully, accept Corey into the pack structure as another individual who can give him social stimulus and social behavior. So that's one thing that Grizzer has. He's got a bigger list of friends, human friends, than the exhibit pack does. And that's just the dynamics of managing one wolf compared to managing a pack. So people often ask during Wolf Awareness Week and other times of the year, what can we do to help educate about wolves? And certainly one of the things that we see is very, very important is our youth. The future of our wolf and our wildlands is in the hands of our youth. And the more children we can educate, the better. And so if you are from the Twin Cities metro area schools and you have the opportunity to bring a program into your schools, into your children's schools, into your neighbors' children's schools, into your grandchildren's schools, into any children's school, we have a free public school program. Information is on our website to be able to contact Tara Morrison, our Wolf Outreach Director, to be able to schedule a free program. If you're not from the metro region, you can still get involved. Even if you're from down under and you live in a different time zone, we have the ability to connect through what's called a WolfLink program. If you visit our website and you go to the Learn section and then follow the link to the educator resources, you'll find the WolfLink program, you'll find the Wolves at Our Door, you'll find Wolf Discovery Kits if you want to sponsor a kit of educational materials to go to a classroom. Anything we can do to engage the next generation in understanding the role of predators in the ecosystem and the importance of wildlands on the landscape is a benefit. And so we welcome, again, even if you don't have kids, find some kids. Go to your local school and say, hey, would you like to have a WolfLink program? Would you like to have a Wolves at Your Door program? Try to help teachers get those programs up and running and in the classroom, and that will be an effort for Wolf Awareness Week. So as I said, even if you're down under, even if you're in a different time zone, we have surveillance cameras, we have video cams, we have low light and infrared cams. So this is off the surveillance cam where Grizzer decides to investigate his birch bark. He got a little excited. We've been having actually a wild wolf around the area, so in the parking lot around the back of the wolf enclosures, and so kind of getting a little bit of stimulus there. So Grizzer, he's just inquisitive. He likes to engage in things, his play mechanisms, or however you call it, his investigative skills are alive and well. And then he goes into the Grizzer 500, where he engages in a chase around the enclosure, around the den, jumps over the pond, jumps over his den, comes back around, gets a lot of excitement. Even though he's alone, he's still psychologically part of the exhibit pack. So when they're active and they're in a chase, Grizzer's active and he's at a chase. They all have different personalities. Every one of their personalities is coming together this fall as we see the dynamics of the wolf exhibit go from a couple of young juveniles who didn't know their place in the pack to a pair of young adults who are trying to figure it out and become a cohesive pack of wolves. So with that, I thank you for watching, and I hope you get a chance to spread the word about wolves in this week of wolf awareness. See you next week.